So these are basically wolves in sheep clothing, right? So we're thinking basically that they are sheep, but they're wolf. But they act like a sheep, they walk like a sheep, they sound like a sheep, everything like a sheep. They're just giving off the wrong vibes, bad vibes. When you start to disagree with them and it become argumentative, what you realize is that you realize that all of a sudden you start to argue more than you will normally argue. And that's why it's good. Always keep in mind what you were before. So you have to, because you keep saying, like I will say, I'm not really an argumentative person. When I start to argue with somebody over and over, you know, then you know that something is wrong, because it's like, see, you start to argue, and then you're not used to arguing about dumb stuff, and then you're arguing about dumb stuff. So then you say, no, this is not normal for me. This isn't right. But what you realize is that you're going to absorb all the, when they're arguing, it's not like it's like they was releasing tension from their self, within the self, onto you. The argument to release anger and tension that they have built up inside of them. So you start to feel all this anger and tension, and sometimes even hatred, coming towards you, and we absorb stuff, right? So we absorb stuff and then we throw it back out, right? And when you throw it back out, you're like, oh my gosh, what happened here? Like, what am I, you know, this is now I'm really not myself anymore. So you apologize, and they love that, because now you apologize and they are the victim. So now they get everything they want. You have to realize that with narcissists, they're looking for kind people, right? They don't go around looking for other narcissists. They actually have their radar out for people who first they can manipulate, and then secondly, people who are kind. Like they love that. That's their thing. They love people who are kind. Yeah. So another thing that they also do is that if they admire your strengths, and they're already mimicking you and becoming like you, right? But there's another subtle thing that they do that is significant, because it's basically they brainwash you, right? When they start to mimic you, they start to say to you in a very subtle way, they just like slide it in quietly, that you are XYZ. And if you don't know yourself well, right, that's why it's very important to know yourself very good. So they will say that you are traits that they don't like about their self. So things that they don't like at all about themselves, they will then subtly say that you are that. And if you're not sure who you are, you might wonder if what they're saying is true or not, right? And sometimes you don't even take offense, because it's little simple things like they pick you up late, right? And then say to you that you're a very impatient person. At that time, you see how they're slipping it in, that you're impatient. And if you don't know yourself, you might think you're impatient, especially when you're young and you're inexperienced. So when they say to you, you're impatient, at that time they reach late, you're feeling agitated and angry. So you don't even dispute the statement that they make. So it's things like that. They just putting it in, and they keep doing that. So they're mimicking you, and then they're now taking all the things that they don't like about themselves and projecting it on you. So now you're like totally losing identity, and you're basically going into a mess. The only thing that saves you at this stage is to leave. But sometimes life is weird and messy and difficult, right? So sometimes circumstances you can't leave based on certain circumstances. Sometimes you can't leave. It's not the right time to leave, and it's not actually the easiest thing to leave a narcissist. It could become very complicated because if they're not finished with you, it could become complicated to walk away from them, because they could become really aggressive and psychopathic if you try to leave sometime. So yeah, so you always have to, I think the only thing that saves you is the fact that you have to know, you start to feel yourself dissolve in a way. So you have to go back to before them and keep reminding yourself that that is who you are, who you was before them, and try to regroup yourself, build yourself back up, try, you know. So yeah, so basically your health goes, your mind go, your emotions go, your body definitely start to fall apart, right? So I know there's a lot of things on the internet that say that INFJs and empaths and Sigma and INFJs, they could handle a narcissist. And the truth is, we can. we actually could do it, but if we could avoid them, that's the number one thing. Run. Just leave them. Don't go and play in mess, because if you could, first of all, when your health is the most important thing, and when your health starts to go down, it's like how are you going to fight if your health is starting to fall apart? So if you could avoid them, avoid them. Because the first thing that starts to really go bad is your health, your physical health, your emotional health, your mental health. You don't want to go fighting them. If you could avoid them altogether, just avoid them. Don't go and play in mud and get all dirty up. Just leave them, let them be, right? The only tip I have to say, like, to deal with a narcissist as an INFJ is to cut FE all the way out. Just cut it out, because they basically attracted to your FE. If you figure out what your FE is, like if you know which part of your cognitive function is FE, no FE. Give them absolutely no FE, zero FE, right? And SE. So all the extroverted functions. So FE is like you're working as a team, and you're pleasant and you're kind and, you know, nice stuff. And SE is the actions, things that you're doing for them. You're cooking, anything, everything. Everything that you ever physically do for them, cut all of it out. All the SE stuff out, all the FE stuff out. So you're only now in the NI and the TI, and they're purposely now going into NI-TI. This is not the loop that is cause you to be worrying or anything like that. This is different. This is you purposely going into NI-TI just to get them to not want to be around you. That will throw them off. Like they will no longer have interest in you, because they basically want the FE and the SE most of all from you. Those are the things, you know, they want you to be telling them nice stuff, and that's the next thing you find. You find yourself telling them nice stuff to make them feel calm, so that you could feel calm. And when you're with a narcissist, you start to feel like you have to tell them nice stuff, or else you're not going to have a good evening. So it's not a pleasant thing to do. And so cut all of that out and just stay in the NI-TI And when you reach in the NITI, so this is not that you just unconsciously looping into the NITI. You consciously carrying yourself there. You will be, I guess it's what they'll call like gray wall, like a gray wall, because you wouldn't be paying attention to them like how INFJs we give. we fully engage in a person when we're speaking to them, right? We pay attention. So that might make them leave you because they wouldn't like that new you so much. So that would be good if you want to get rid of them. That way, you know, like because sometimes, I mean, sometimes you might want to just walk away, but they might threaten you, or you know, and you know, you have to take threats serious. So because they protect, especially covert narcissists, because they protect their image and they really need for you to see them as good. If you say to them what you observe and that what your instinct is, like what you really feel is going on, and you say it with, so you're not just, you're saying it with confidence that you're sure this is what is happening, they will go into a rage at that time. And you know, they talk about the narcissistic rage. They will rage at you. Yeah. So yeah. So whether or not we could handle them, it's better to avoid them. And if we get stuck with one, figure out a way out. You know, and you know, very few people could really deal with the toll that the narcissist is going to have on your life, because they're basically going to sabotage all your actions and basically betray you, and yeah, they're going to make your life hell. It will be misery. So I'll say, yeah, very few people could deal with it and come out. And I know, as I said, they've been saying that INFJs could handle a narcissist, and yes, we can handle narcissists in the workplace, and we can handle them, especially when we become aware of ourselves and we know ourselves. But for most parts, it's better to not go into a battlefield with them, because the truth is they love to argue, and you know, they love to waste time, and they enjoy arguments. So waste time arguing with them because they getting pleasure out of that, and you getting depleted. And as an INFJ, we always feel like we have these goals, we have these things to do, and life to live, and joy to have. These people are going to steal your joy. They're going to haul you out, make you feel empty, make you feel despair. You know, so I would suggest don't go there. Right? But the other thing is that the truth is there's a lot of narcissists. There's a lot. It's all over the place. It's in their family, it's in their friends, it's everywhere. That's it. Thank you.